I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Okay. I'm sharing the room with my daughter. So if you are overhearing how to do subtraction by regrouping, you will get that information also. But if it's really noisy, please let me know. Thank you. Okay, we are going to go to the second uh, part or the second topic, which comes under construction accidents. That is human factors. We are going to discuss how humans are contributing and why and why. See, there are three things when comes to, when we are talking about the humans. There are at three levels. One at the organizational level, or at the people who are actually thinking of all these safety programs and implementing it or not implementing it. Those people at the organizational level. That is step one. And step two is the job itself, because certain job comes with certain kind of difficulties. By just even observing the way people are doing a job, certain jobs are very risky compared to certain things. For example, maybe sweeping the floor is not as risky as mopping the floor. We all know that. So certain inherent characteristics of the job itself makes the person who's doing it unsafe or risk prone. And third, the person, irrespective of the job you are doing and irrespective of the organization in which working, certain people tend to have more accidents, and certain people have this attitude of getting into trouble more than other people. So these are all three things which we are going to investigate. Certain things we can control by following strict measures, and certain things we can do it by training them, communicating the necessity why we are doing all this, just to make sure their attitude changes towards all the safety protocols. That is how we are trying to do it. And when it comes to job, you cannot really change the job itself, but you can change a way in which it is getting done. Maybe you can use more, for example, mm, uh, imagine a simple case of nailing on the wall. In olden days, there wasn't this, screwing type of automatic this thing, or electrical equipments were not very so. So you have to use your hammer and nails to nail the walls if you wanted to hang a calendar or a photograph. So there are many incidents where people have actually hit the hammer on their hands or on the fingers. So by changing the way you are going to do it, uh, instead of hammering it, if you're going to screw the nail, then you're actually doing a work, you're getting the job done, but at the same time you're not hurting yourself or reducing the risk involved with the job. So these are the three different aspects of human factors, and we are trying to understand them, so that how we can handle the situation. This is like risk mitigation, as Irene was talking about. So, as discussed in previous picture, there are three things. The occupational health and safety of people working depends on these three things. One is the organization and their attitude and the job complexity or the riskiness involved with the job, and third is the personal one, which comes to the finally the person who's actually doing it. So these are all the human factors, because these are all the results of the human involvement in the event. Yes. So there is always a question before. This is like your dissertation. Whenever you are starting to learn something new, when you wanted to learn or when you are trying to understand things, there is always a question. It could be even a very simple question like why, or it could be as elaborate as have I done this thing this way so that has this happened, uh, or could I have done it in a different way to get a different result. So it could go as far as you know about the subject. Your depends on your basic knowledge of it. So this is a very basic checklist which is given. If you look at Nabosh code books and other chapters, you will know this questionnaire is very. This checklist is a very common one. very common, meaning it's a very generic question book. This questionnaire cannot be used for different types of different sites. Even among construction site, you cannot use it for a general one. So this is a basic one. Depending on the site and situation, you will try to improve this questionnaire and fine tune it as it requires. So, do you have an effective health and safety management system? You might have a health and safety management system, but is it effective? Is it effective in the sense? Is it up to date? Is it really covering the necessary aspects that is needed by your site, or is this really helpful to people who are working in your site? And a positive health and safety culture, because see, people should not think following a safety protocol or a safety norm is a headache. They should accept it in a very. They should be open towards uh, uh, such protocols or such things. And I'm sorry, this bullets have because I just moved the box. It shows bullets for every bits, but arrangements for the settings and monitoring of standards is one line. Arrangements of
Ma'am, we
for
cannot
settings
see
and
your
Ma'am, we are
screen,
not
monitoring of
ma'am.
able
Could
to
you
standards.
see your
share the
screen,
PDF?
ma'am.
Oh, finally someone has noticed. Thanks, ma. Yeah. So this is okay. Okay, I'll just go back to this previous slide. This is the previous one, which I was talking about. These three aspects of human factors, where you have
Ma'am,
organization and
still,
Ma'am,
person
it's
and
not.
job.
Ma'am, we
ma'am,
still
So
still
can't
we
see
it's
are
the
not,
screen,
actually
ma'am.
still
discussing how.
not, ma'am. Still it's not visible, ma'am.
Now it's visible, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Even now, or
Now it's
Ma'am, now we are
visible,
able
ma'am.
to
is
see.
it my slow connection? Wait for a moment, ma. Is my screen visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Not yet.
It's visible
Yeah,
now, ma'am.
sure. Thanks. Okay, okay. So what happens is, see, if you have a health safety management plan, that is not enough. Do you really have arrangements for setting and monitoring of the standards? Because you should constantly monitor, as we have already discussed. And adequate supervision is for day-to-day work. You might have a monitoring standard. That might monitoring might happen only maybe once in a month or once in a week. Or for example, if you have safety protocols during concreting, it will only happen when there is concreting, maybe after a 15-day cycle or a 20-day cycle. So supervision happens every day, but monitoring happens on a particular cycle gap. And effective incident reporting and analysis. This is another very important issue, because people might be complaining to themselves. For example, we might even say, "Oh, there is no fan in this exam hall," or "There is no fan. This AC in my bedroom is, like not performing to its optimum level." But how many of us are really taking it to the reporting level? So, effective incident reporting is very important, whether it is an incident or even before that situation, or as the reporting is done, and analysis of such reports or complaints sent to the people are taken care of. And are we learning from experience? This is one constantly we always talk about this in project management. Previous experience and learning from the past. It's very, very important. So are we really doing it, or are we repeating the same mistakes again and again? So these things will come out when you have an audit. But again, auditing is another process which only people with money can afford to do it. A medium or a small construction firm might want to have safety plans, but will they go to the extent of getting them audited? Another question. Clearly visible health and safety leadership. This is because, uh, mm, okay. Uh, how many of you watched this Ellen DeGeneres show? Any idea of her? At least you've heard of her? Yes, no, no. Okay. She's like you might have heard about Oprah Winfrey. She's a very similar one. She does talk shows, and she contributes to people who are in need. Okay, she has got a huge organization and lots of people who are raising funds for her, and this is what she does. But unfortunately, there were so many allegations now at the workplace. Is very they have it's just very racist and things like that. So people might say they are actually doing a safety program, but you will never know what is actually behind the scenes. It should be visible to everyone should feel that you know sincerely the management is trying to do that. So in her case, she was actually contributing to many people, and was talking about all this equality and things like that, but that didn't happen. It should not be like a advertisement thing like your safety management program. You should really do it, and people should actually feel that the organization is sincerely trying to follow this for our benefit. They should feel that the people who are working for it should feel that we are safe. And suitable team structures. This is because when you have a larger site and varying activities happening and varying risk levels involved with each and every complex operation, it is better to have a team, suitable teams to monitor also. So because for example, if your subcontractor is handling a situation, it's better his team knows it instead of a project manager telling the subcontractor. It's very difficult. Every time you can't just report your person is not wearing the safety equipment and things like that, personal protective equipment and things like that. So everyone should be able to understand it, and each and every team should work as a one. They should have some team culture also. The team should look out for each and everybody in their team, and should report to a common or a supervisor who's going to monitor and help them with. And efficient communication systems is very important. We all know that the importance of communication and adequate staffing. Again, this is what Gautam was discussing about. I think we don't have adequate staffing with our government itself. So monitoring whether they are following the safety norms and protocols as per the Factories Act is very difficult. Again, people who are not very sincere of what they are doing, people taking bribe and doing just not even doing this their job, another issue. Not just adequate, inefficient and idiots, another problem. And then suitable work patterns depending on the type of the job. You can have you can change the way you work. You can change the shifts. You can you can even make sure people who are working with heavy noisy machinery will have longer breaks than people who are working in a peaceful environment, or who are working with very fast moving machinery will take longer breaks, or will work only maybe a sufficient shift. They won't work continuous shifts. All this work pattern is very important. Only when you face the situation you will realize these are all the options available. Okay, it is something like that. Okay. Okay, so this is the organizational level checklist. Now, what could be the things which have gone wrong in an organization? Because when you have a checklist, sometimes you have to also look at what failed, what went wrong. So this is another thing. Okay, uh, what kind of mistakes at organization level you have done, which resulted in an accident. So this is like the first one is poor work planning. So you wanted a faster finishing, and you don't have adequate workforce, but you are working people to work more, or skip their holidays or break times, and they are working continuously, or that entire group's performance is the need for is a requirement for them to get any bonus or anything, something like that. So all this will actually increase the work pressure, and normally when people are working performing under pressure, they tend to they tend to make mistakes. This mistakes might sometimes result in accidents. So all these things are what we are actually discussing. You are giving examples. And so this is one lack of safety systems and barriers. For example, Hamilton was talking about how people fall when they are working on the external facades. So this is due to basic things of barriers and safety systems being not in place or missing, and inadequate responses to previous accidents. This is surely an organizational failure. When you know that your organization is not going to be bothered about people, getting hurt at site, automatically people stop reporting it. Imagine a situation: you are in a class, and there is a class bully who hits an troublesy one. If you keep on, if you complain once or twice, if the teacher doesn't even take notice, eventually you'll stop, isn't it? Or your parent, if they're not noticing it, you will stop. So this is the same thing when there are no response or inadequate response from the organizational level. Again, you will stop reporting. So this might result in a much bigger accident than in the previous situation. And management based one way communication, in the sense only you're getting instructions, nothing goes to them from your side. So this is another toxic work culture, which not only for accidents, it's a very bad thing. So even nothing good will come out of this. And deficient coordination and responsibilities, this we know, because inefficient people, they actually do less coordination, and they don't take care of their responsibilities. And this is another organizational problem. And poor management of health and safety, again, they don't even because they are not very fond of having a proper safety management plan. They're just doing it for namesake. And so this poor management system leads to your poor health and safety culture, because unfortunately they are not listening, they are not having a proper plan at hand, and they are not responding to your queries or requests. So invariably it will lead to a poor health and safety culture. People will stop bothering, and they won't even care for each other, or they'll ignore whatever rules already they are in place. So the first aspect what was at was organization, and we just looked at checklist. What is the basic generic checklist, and what can go wrong at organizational level? So now we are going to look at the second one. This is a checklist for job. Okay, what you are going to check? What will you do when you check a job? Any answers? Keetna, Manjari, can you answer?
மேம் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஒர்க் எப்படி இருக்கும், நமக்கேற்ற ஒர்க் மாதிரியா, ஒர்க் லோடு பொறுத்துட்டு அந்த மாதிரி மெயின் திங் பார்ப்போம் மேம். மேபி அதனோட மேம் கேன் யூ கம் அகெயின் மேம்?
Like what type of job, ma'am? Like question சரியா புரியல மேம்.
மேம்
Ma'am, your voice is not audible, ma'am.
Okay, this is an organizational level checklist. It's a very simple one. Adequate staff irukangala, or are they learning from experience? Is there any ஒழுங்கான management safety management plan இருக்கா, இல்லைன்னா adequate supervision இருக்கா? These are the questions you will ask an organization. அவங்களோட safety management plan ஒழுங்கா இருக்கான்னு understand பண்ணிக்கிறதுக்காக you are going to question them this. And now, what are the questions you will write down if it comes to a job? You're assessing a job, how dangerous it is. அப்ப என்னெல்லாம் questions கேட்பீங்க? Anyone can
work
answer,
timing
not just Kirtana or Manjari. If you know, if you try, also fine.
மெயின்டெனன்ஸ் மேம் லைக் எப்படி மெயின்டைன் பண்ணணும் அப்படி ஏதாச்சும்?
டே ஷிஃப்ட் டைமிங் எவ்வளோ நேரம் அதில் இன்வால்வ் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்ற மாதிரி
Okay,
தேர் ஒர்க் ஃபேக்டர்ஸ்.
maintenance, regular maintenance. Okay, okay. So that's there won't be any defective equipment causing an accident.
மேம்
Okay.
அப்புறம் கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்ஷன் உள்ள போகிறதுக்கு முன்னாடி லேபர்ஸ் எல்லாரும் எக்யூப்மெண்ட்ஸ் ஏதாவது சேஃப்டி எக்யூப்மெண்ட்ஸ் வச்சிருக்காங்களா அப்படின்ற மாதிரி செக் பண்றது. பை மீன்ஸ் ஹெல்மெட் அந்த மாதிரி. இப்போ இன்கே கெமிக்கல் இதில் ஒர்க் பண்றாங்கன்னா அவங்க க்ளவுஸ் வச்சு அந்த மாதிரி பாக்குறதுக்கு அதை நாம தான் அதை கேர் பண்ணி
Okay.
ஃபர்ஸ்ட் அவங்க உள்ள போறதுக்கு முன்னாடி செக் பண்ற மாதிரி.
Ah, ah. So he is assessing a job. Maybe he's worried that spraying or exposure to chemical might be there. So aduketa madri safety protective equipments irka. Okay. So you are actually guessing, actually checking what kind of an activity they are going to perform, and you are going to write down the necessity things. In the case la ivar வந்து chemical factory la work பண்ண போறாங்க. So exposure to chemicals irkaan check பண்ணனும். Yes. Okay. Anyone else?
மேம் மேம் அந்த ஒர்க்கிங் பீப்புள்ஸ் வந்துட்டு லேபர்ஸ் வந்துட்டு எஜுகேட்டடா இருக்காங்க கைண்ட் ஆஃப் அங்க அந்த சைட்டுக்கான ஒர்க்குக்கு எஜுகேட்டடா இருக்காங்க லைக் எனி மெட்டீரியல் எக்யூப்மெண்ட் ஹேண்டில் பண்றதுக்கு ஸோ அந்த திங்ஸ் செக் பண்றதுக்கு மேம்.
அதாவது are they trained to handle the situation அந்த மாதிரியா?
யா மேம் எக்ஸாக்ட்லி.
Okay. Yes, that is also there. But see, that comes to the human factor. That is the third point we are going to discuss anyway. அடுத்தது இதுக்கு அப்புறமா as a person, is he skilled enough to handle the job? அது வந்து நம்ம பார்க்கணும், கரெக்ட். ஆனா as a job itself, அந்த ஜாபுக்குன்னு ஏதாவது எவாலுவேஷன் இருக்கா? அது வேற என்னெல்லாம் நம்ம ஒரு ஜாபை பத்தி தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும்னா என்ன பண்ணணும்? சரி, நீங்களே ஒரு ஆபீஸ்ல வேலைக்கு போறீங்கன்னு rephrase the question. You're going to ஒரு ஆர்கிடெக்டோட ஆஃபீஸோ இல்லைன்னா ஒரு பெரிய ப்ராஜெக்ட் மேனேஜரா அந்த ப்ராஜெக்ட் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் ஃபார்முக்கு வேலைக்கு போறீங்க. அப்ப நீங்க வந்து அந்த ஜாபுக்கு சேர்றதுக்கு முன்னாடி என்னென்ன கேள்வி கேட்பீங்கன்னு சொல்லுங்க. இப்போ அதுல இருந்து யூ கேன் ஜஸ்ட் ட்ரா சம் சேஃப்டி ரிலேட்டட் கொஸ்டின்.
ஓகே மேம்.
ஒரு குட் ஒர்க் ஸ்பேஸ் என்வாயன்மெண்ட் டு ஒர்க் வித் அதர்ஸ் எப்படி வந்துட்டு பிளசண்டா இருக்கு அண்ட் சரௌண்டிங்ஸ் வந்துட்டு எப்படி இருக்குன்னு அந்த மாதிரி.
எனி ஐடியா மனோரஞ்சன் சார்? ஓகே, இன்னொரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் கொடுக்குறேன். சரி, இதை வச்சுக்கோங்க. இப்போ சம்டைம்ஸ் சர்ஜரிஸ் ஆர் டன் வித் ரோபாட்ஸ் இல்லையா? வெரி வெரி very complicated surgeries that involves where even a small slight shake of hand might result in a disability. பார்வை குறைபாடோ இல்ல கேட்காம போறது, பேசாம போறது, அதாவது மூளையில பிரெயின் சர்ஜரிஸ் எல்லாம் பண்ணும்போது they are actually using robots. இதெல்லாம் பேப்பர்ல படிச்சிருக்கீங்கல்ல. what decides that? ஹியூமன் பீயிங் பண்ணணுமா இல்ல ஒரு மெஷின் பண்ணணுமான்னு எதை வச்சு டிசைட் பண்றாங்க?
accuracy மேம், லைக் ரிஸ்க் கம்மி பண்ற மாதிரி,
எவ்வளவு காம்ப்ளிகேட்டடான சர்ஜரின்றத பொறுத்து.
கரெக்ட்.
மினிமைஸ் பண்ற மாதிரி.
கரெக்ட்.
பிகாஸ் ஹியூமன்ஸ் சம்டைம்ஸ் ரோபோட்டிக்ஸ் கொஞ்சம் அக்யூரேட்டா இருக்க முடியாது.
கரெக்ட். Correct. Not only the accuracy, but also the difficulty, complexity of the task, and by using some other Sorry, Pa, got disconnected. So we're talking about, yes, as Anju was telling. So the depending on the accuracy and also the complexity of a human being doing it decides whether to go with automation or the whether to perform it, using an human being, or to go ahead with automation. So that is one. Okay, va? So the any errors or complexity of the job itself, the job or the inherent character itself, that is the one first, that is the consideration. Okay, and okay, you second of இன்னொரு example கொடுக்குறேன். Um, uh, uh, there are many factories, and export factories, where people actually make lots of shirts or things like that. Okay, or any equipments, or even dolls or toys to play with. What is wrong with people doing it and then one doing everything? For example, if both of us are ஒரு toy makers னு வச்சுக்கலாம். What is wrong in a single person doing the entire toy and assembling it and making it as one doll? Normally they don't do that, right? One equipment has the head, and it continuously an assembly line is different. You all know all this, how the assembly line works. What is the benefit of having an assembly line or a single person doing this entire task? Anyone?
Time, ma'am. Time matters.
Yeah, time, and also
Manpower, like uh,
people
machines
become
can do
efficient,
work.
isn't it? When you do the
Yeah,
same job again and again.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, ma'am.
yeah. So to, and what happens is, when you do this, you are also become actually extracting the optimal level of work from the people as well as from the machines. So and you don't really have to create a one machine with multi-functions. It not be a very multi-talented machine. It can just be an extrusion machine, which extrudes maybe the hands and legs part of the plastics, because they are hollow, and they just mix it out. And the head portion can be done in a very separate equipment, which only doesn't which creates that particular mold. So not only your efficiency, not only your time, but also you are saving money. So again, this consideration comes. What are the things that can be done to this particular job, which will make it which will give an optimal output, and when you are working at the optimum level, what are all the safety considerations that are involved when you are working at that level. And how many of you have constant headaches or back pains sitting at your tables while listening to all this online lectures? How many of you? Do you have any any trouble
Yeah,
or
ma'am.
not at all?
Yes, ma'am.
All
No,
of us,
ma'am.
isn't it? All of us. ஏய் கௌதம், படுத்துக்கிட்டே தானே கிளாஸ் கேட்குற?
தூங்கிடுவான் மேம், அதனால தெரியல மேம்.
ஹாமில்டன் தூங்குறாரு போல. நோ மேம் சொல்லிருக்காரு. Maybe because you are actually you are you can sit at anywhere and listen to the classes, and maybe like we are students, you are not attending 5 hours full theory classes. It's much better with you, but sometimes forget about your office or your own particular chair and table. When you work in the college lab or somewhere outside your table, you have you ever felt that the table or the chair is not comfortable, and it doesn't suit your body shape or height, and it causes back problem or shoulder pain?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Gautam
Yeah,
says
ma'am.
yes
Yes,
for
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, so many times. Yes, this is because yeah, the same story. So when a person is going to work in a place for 7 hours or 8 hours, we should be okay. It should be very careful of how he is going to perform. So similarly, in a construction site, people are actually never actually sit and work. Yeah, most of the jobs are done either standing up or at very dangerous positions. So you should be very careful of how much of these considerations that goes into the ergonomics of the workspace, which results which might lead to occupational issues. They say occupational issues இல்லையா, இந்த shoulder pain and neck pain இதெல்லாம் வந்து occupational hazard ன்னு சொல்றாங்க. They are not directly affecting us or creating any health issues immediately, but in a longer runல ரொம்ப shoulder pain இருந்துட்டே இருந்ததுன்னா அது then it creates, and அப்புறம் உங்களோட bone weak ஆயிடுறது, இல்லைன்னா you are putting your weight on the wrong leg because this leg hurts. So it gives, it leads to multiple issues later. So these this thing again, how we are going to perform the task, நின்னுட்டா உட்காந்துட்டா இல்ல what kind of seating is good for this kind of job, or how better it can improve the comfort level of the human being who is doing this job. So in the ergonomic conditions, so again other another point. And then okay, sometimes I had this problem, so I'm just going to give this example. The teachers who taught us software generally in school, and the computer teachers who taught us in schools and in when we are doing college, doing post and undergraduate studies, they always actually teach the theory first. So in the C programming லாம் teach பண்ணும்போது they'll because they are very quite comfortable with write the codes, they'll keep on writing the codes on the board, and they say this is the logic already. Um, uh, will be very confused how to tell someone to, because it's very easy when you say write odd numbers between 1 and 100, you just write down because you know how to do it. But then to make some machine do it, and to write the coding, because each and every apostrophe and comma makes sense, it's very difficult இல்லையா. ஆனா practical சைட்ல பண்ணிட்டானா, அதாவது ஒரு மெஷின்ல உட்காந்து if you try that, and when there is an error, when it shows an error when you check the lines, and there is a error in the line 8, and you will be looking at the line 8, and then you will realize, okay, instead of a comma I just left a space, that is why this command is not working. So you will understand that. So similarly, if you apply a job, so apply this to a job, instead of giving an instruction manual or a booklet to them, if you show use pictures or make them uh, make them undergo a training program in which everything is explained in a simpler manner, in simple words or terms, or using graphics, or even you can even show them a video, that is more easier. So the job or instructions should be simple, kept to the level of people who are going to do it. அதை வந்து நம்ம மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் லிஸ்ட் மாதிரி கொடுக்க முடியாது. Instead you should make sure you have to bring it down to their level so they will understand. So this is another consideration. And anything else, what irritates you when you're doing a job? What are the other factors that irritates you other than your table? Just imagine you are working in your room, you are sincerely sketching or writing your dissertation abstract. What will irritate you? What are the factors that may bother you, or was bothering you and not allowing you to do the job to the fullest extent possible
Power cut, ma'am.
around yourself? Okay, yes, power failures, yes.
Sometimes people's, ma'am.
Anything else?
Group text, ma'am.
Okay, more like that is more like a distraction,
எப்போதுமே டிவி ஆன்ல இருக்குது, அது ஒரு
Okay.
ப்ராப்ளமா இருக்கும் மேம்.
அபி அம்மாவை சொல்றியா இல்ல நீயே ஆன்
எனக்கு வெளியில ஓடுது மேம், ரூம்ல இன்னும் எனக்கு சவுண்டா இருக்கு மேம், கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ண மாட்டாங்க.
Okay, noise. So indirectly you are saying noise, இல்லையா? So noise.
Pets also.
Noise or ஏதோ some sound of it could be even okay, nice. The noise, uncomfortable working conditions like no light due to power cuts, or no air ventilation. அதுக்கப்புறமா so these are indirectly you are talking about how your environmental factors affect your work productivity. So this is very very important again, because as an individual, when you நம்மள வீட்ல இருக்கோம்னு வச்சுக்கோயேன், I am actually taking this class from this particular room, and if I find the lighting level of the rooms are low, and there is no power in my house for some reason, I will try to shift to a next to a window or next to the balcony, so that I can there is more light, or I'm comfortable, I'm more comfortable. But But this may not be possible in a factory or in a site, because the work has to be done at that place, isn't it? It is more like the work is fixed and you are going there and performing the task and you are coming out of it. So the other environmental factors like your lighting levels, ventilation levels, and the temperature, and even the humidity. And sometimes when you feel very sticky, you don't really feel like working also. And this really irritates. And when people are exposed to constant this temperature and noise, higher noise levels, like they are always irritated, and this reflects in their attitude. And invariably, not they may not be doing it intentionally, but it will uh, come out like that. So all these things. Um, and as I was telling in the hammer example, using a right tool and right equipment also very important to perform the job. So you can actually have a spec. You might say, to perform this job, you should have all these protective equipment, and you should use only this tool. Um, in this, yes, correct tools. And as I've already discussed, people who are working with heavy machinery and under heavy noise levels. Okay, these nuclear power plants, they are all very safe, yes, but there are reports of people, working in nuclear power plants. I don't know why this is true or not, but from the newspaper articles and the journals so far published, with whatever little data we have, people who are actually, whether they are exposed to the radiation or not, there seems to be quite a number of carcinogenic, cancer patients, and the effect of, the carcinogenic effects of these nuclear plants, it seems to be higher compared to other people. Among that population which are closer to the nuclear power plants. So their exposure, whether though we are assuming the exposure level is, reduced or controlled, even people, even nurses and attenders who are working in these cancer patient wards, cancer wards, they actually are exposed to this chemotherapy drugs more than anyone. They are actually the person, they are the people who are handling it all the time. So all these, exposure to dangerous chemicals and working conditions might increase their increase their weaknesses, already existing health conditions, worsen them further, or they might really stress them or make them very tired, and leading to accidents. So we should be aware of all this also. you know how to lower the exposure, or how to control the fatigue and things like that. And so I'm just going to share the slide now. So I hope giving all these examples will, made it easier to understand, hopefully. So these are all the things. So I'm just going to leave it like this for a minute or so. So you just have to go through this. If you have any question, I'll answer. This slide actually shows what you have discussed so far with without the examples. But just go through the slide, and if you have any questions, and then we can discuss. So, any questions, or shall we go to the next factor? Shall we look at it? Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So now, since now we have understood how to, assess a job for for to understand how it is going to contribute to accidents. Now we can have a simple checklist. It's a simple. This is again a very generic one, and so we are going from the backwards. So from the top, it is more of a factory oriented setup. From the just go back from the backwards. Noisy and unpleasant working conditions. Now this checklist now it really helps you to identify an answer also. When you have a checklist, you will just get or a few options to handle the situation. Always you have to first ask the question, and immediately your friend might give a solution, and someone will say, you will get different answers, and among these answers you can choose one which suits your organizational structure and also the amount or the cost it is going to cost you for the thing to get implemented. So for example, noisy and unpleasant working conditions, this cannot be okay, I'm going to give you two different examples. Imagine one uh, uh, imagine a factory, okay, where this machine really makes a really makes you know uh, extremely high vibration come noise level, okay, working in a factory. This is condition one. And another one is uh, individual equipment, which is when only when you are using it. For example, um, vibrator or equipment which you're going to, or a cutting saw in a construction site. Okay, these two are one where the equipment is switched on and off depending on the requirement only. For example, a saw, you're not going to continuously use a saw in a construction site, only when you are required to cut it. Assume a set of carpenters are working, or even you can assume barbending is happening at a site in a corner, and people are actually getting ready for the slab concrete. So this is case A. Okay, and case B is in a factory. Every day from a shift starts at, assume the shift starts at 6 o'clock and ends by 6 o'clock. So this machine is switched on at 6, and it gets switched off at 6 in the evening. So, do you think these two jobs require similar kind of treatment to answer the noise issue? Saren, can you answer?
Something right. மெயின்டெனன்ஸ் இல்லைன்னா நாய்ஸ் எப்பயுமே
Try.
ஹலோ
ஓகே, நீங்க இப்போ ஃப்ளைட் எல்லாம் போறோம்ல, ஆனா அந்த சத்தம் இருக்க தானே செய்யுது. The people who are actually sitting close to the wing would have felt could have heard the noise much. The noise level seems to be much higher, இல்லையா? So is there any can we do anything about it in that case, even if it's a well equipped machinery?
ஐடியா இல்லை மேம்.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. I just gave these two examples because they are requires two different opposite solutions. One, when a machinery makes heavy noise, for example, like your air conditioner. Earlier, if some of you heard the luxury of having an air conditioner, even when you were a child. Just remember that those times, those air conditioners make so much noise, isn't it? And nowadays, the air conditioners don't even hum. You understand what I'm saying, right? They don't even make a humming noise. It's so quiet. So what does it mean? You can actually do